Good morning and welcome back to Expresso here on SABC3. Now this year, for the first time, more than 100 influential thought leaders from across the globe are gathering in Cape Town for the inaugural Sustain Our Africa Summit, Expo and Festival from the 22nd of October to tackle, debate and find answers to the biggest question of all. Can Africa deliver enough for all forever? Now, two of the speakers from the Sustain Our Africa Summit, Leonie Hubert and Mpumelelo Ntwadi, join us this morning to shed more light on this very important issue. Good morning, Mpumelelo. Good morning, Leonie. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good to have you with us here this morning. Now, this is a very important issue that we are tackling in the summit, and I'm sure there are going to be a broad range of things that we're going to be talking about, but maybe you could just shed some more light on what we can expect from the actual summit.
I think the summit is about one thing. It's about fresh thinking.
Yes.
Fresh thinking that creates economic opportunity, that creates social equity, that creates environmental well-being, resilience and reliable prosperity for all the people of this continent.
Yeah.
Because we basically stuck, in a yesteryears, and we need to make progress. And if we're going to do that, we need the resilience of all the people of this continent. That's what the conference is about, fresh thinking.
Fresh thinking, and also to be informed, because I think a lot of us, we don't necessarily know where our food comes from. We don't know the origins of where it is that what we're eating. So let's talk, number one, about food traceability. Do we know where our food is coming from, and is it healthy?
I think we do know. If you ask people where food comes from, food comes from farms.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that globally, food is a commodity. It's traded the same way you trade Brent crude, the same way you trade resources,
yes,
platinum and all those kind of things. And the fundamental problem in that kind of setup is that we're moving away from from a situation of having many and few farms, processors, sellers, supermarkets, into this environment where we've got small and big, supermarkets. And that is the problem, because in that kind of environment, we are bound to lose the traceability of where our food comes from. If I can make you an example, if you take meat and you ask yourself, where does your steak come from? People will tell you that meat comes from cattle. Yeah. And the problem is that those cattle pass through a feedlot and they pass through a slaughtering facility. So if I take my own cattle and I give them to an abattoir, it does not necessarily mean at the end of the day I get the cattle that I put through the system. All I get meat that looks like the meat that the consumer want. Yeah. And it's not necessarily my cattle.
Yeah. So what should we be looking for? What should we be looking out for then?
I think we need to, as consumers, we need to educate ourselves about what we eat, because we eat for one reason, to sustain our health. Yeah. So we need to begin to ask these tough questions about the traceability. And traceability for me has got to appear on the label of the food that we eat, because if labeling is wrong, then we don't know what we're eating and we don't know the ingredients of what we're eating.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff. I absolutely love it. Leonie, over to you. Talking about the food that we're eating, we live in a modern society, fast-paced lifestyles. A lot of us are making bad lifestyle choices when it comes to what we eat. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, what's interesting, we're seeing very obesity rates are rising radically in the country.
Dramatically.
Over half of all South Africans who are 15 or older are overweight or obese. And for the longest time, we have blamed that on the individual. Yeah. You've made bad choices, you got yourself overweight, you need to deal with it. Yeah. But increasingly, scientists are saying we need to look at the urban environment and how that contributes to the fact that we are getting fatter and sicker. Yeah. And they're saying also that this rising obesity rate is the result of an ordinary response of ordinary people to an abnormal environment. So we need to look at the cityscape and how it contributes to the fact that we have such big obesity rates. And it has to do with the fact that the city is such a sprawling landscape and that we can't move safely on our feet or on bicycles. So we can't move our bodies, we can't burn energy, but also the food that's available to us. In many respects, it's high calorific food, low nutrients. So we're eating on the run, we're not eating at home anymore, we tend to buy cheap food as well. A lot of unhealthy food is very cheap, And we need to find solutions to getting good, healthy, nutritious food to everyone in the cityscape.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wow, we have unfortunately run out of time, but Mpumelelo, Leonie, thank you so much for being here. And like Leonie was saying, we are going to be talking about those solutions, and they are going to be giving us some really thought-provoking, or rather opening up some thought-provoking conversation at the Sustain Our Africa Summit, happening from the 22nd to the 28th of October. If you are hungry for change, you need to be there.